Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. I hope you're all doing great. Welcome to this new video right here on the crypto markets. We're going to do a full update. The US session has just opened, so that's interesting. We'll take a look at that. We'll talk about some fundamentals. We'll talk about altcoins in general. We'll talk about Ethereum. We'll talk about XRP, and we'll talk about some specific altcoins. So a lot we have to get through. So let's get right into it. My apologies still for the audio. I'm recording all of my middle of the day market updates right now in another place than home. So I'm still recording on my laptop, which the audio quality on this is much worse, which my apologies. I'm fixing this very soon. But for now, hopefully you can bear with me. We'll talk about some very valuable stuff, I will promise. So let's talk about fundamentals first. First of all, Coinbase Bitcoin Premium, great. This is something that you don't necessarily need to see to have bullish market circumstances, but it helps. It's great. And especially right now when a lot of the attention goes to altcoins instead of Bitcoin. So we'll take a look at Bitcoin, but not for too long. Something like this, I don't think is necessary. Is necessarily needed for bullish market circumstances. And then outside of that, with all the bullish momentum in the markets, it's also crucial to take a look at funding rates. You can see that funding rates are slightly heating up. So the risk of a flush, aka a spike down, is becoming bigger. Although I would say it's not big enough to say that we are going to see that. All right, so don't worry too much about that for now. But that's something to be aware of. And then outside of that, the general fundamentals at this point of time are fine. We got some economic data with retail sales being higher than expected. Normally, I would argue that that's bearish. But in this case, I would actually argue that it's not, and it's actually bullish. And that's also what we're seeing in equities that are moving up. So let's talk about the market. First of all, Bitcoin is relatively boring. It's relatively stable. And in my opinion, at least as long as we hold this support level right here at 117,000, we're fine, and we're just going to be stable, and we're going to be stable between 119.7 and 117,000. And then if we get to those levels and we actually get a breakout, a high volume breakout, so that could be a breakout, could also be a breakdown, then I think we're going to see a major move for Bitcoin. But at this point of time, that's not necessarily something I'd expect. There's at least no indication at this point of time, not in volume, not an open interest to say that we are going to get a breakout. I would say stability is most likely. Now, when we're talking about some other coins though, right? So let's start with Ethereum and XRP. I do think some major resistance levels are coming closer. I mean, with Ethereum, I told you this morning, I think 3,500, 3,600 is going to serve as resistance. And I think we are going to see a bit of a pullback from that. Which at this point of time seems to be happening slightly. It's early, but okay, so that looks quite likely. And then I told you, it's whether we're going to be able to rally up higher or not depends on how we react to 3,300s and 3,200s. So I'm going to assume with all the bullish momentum right now that we're going to get a good reaction there. But if we're unable to get that, then we could drop down quite a bit. And that is something that is the main theme of this video, that at this point of time, everything looks good. All right, there is a lot of momentum, there is a lot of volume, there's a lot of positive sentiment, and there's a lot of good news coming out, right? Because there's a lot of news I cannot talk about in these videos, but a lot of companies acquiring Bitcoin, a lot of companies developing within the crypto spaces. So for now, my bias is definitely bullish, but same thing with XRP. I said earlier today that I thought it was most likely XRP would rally up higher. That's what we did. We've reached that level at 3.3. So now it's going to be quite crucial for XRP to get a good reaction at 3.15 and 3.1, right? So that's the first imbalance that we made. That's the first support level we have right now. If we want to see a continuation of this bullish momentum, we need to get a good reaction there. And I think that's most likely, but it's good to be aware of, and it's good to be ready for if we don't, right? And it's good to just, well, like I said, to just be aware that that's an important level. And then if we take a look at others, so this is altcoins, I think, again, there's a reason to be slightly not worried, but slightly cautious. All right, others at this point of time is at a major resistance level at $300 billion and $290 billion. Like I said, I'm still bullish on the markets, but I think it's unlikely that we're not going to get a retrace from this level. So be aware of that, be ready for that, all right? Not only for Ethereum, not only for XRP, if we do not get a strong reaction, also for altcoins in general, by looking at this others chart, right? Look, overall, I'm bullish on the markets. Overall, I think we're going higher. Are we going to get a pullback? Certainly, that always happens. But I do think we're going higher in 2025 and relatively soon as well. I just think that you shouldn't go max leverage long on altcoins. And I also think you should be aware of where we are at right now compared to where the support is. And thus the risk reward still makes sense for altcoins. So that is something for you to think about. Personally, I'm still accumulating altcoins, some smaller altcoins that have not rallied that much, but that I do expect to do well. So to talk about some altcoins, a couple of altcoins that I think are very interesting are, for example, Sonic, or S. S is the name of the ticker right here. Oh, can I type that or not? Yeah, S. I think that looks quite interesting. I think something like Virtuals hasn't rallied yet. While it's a great project, I think this is going to break out at some point of time, even though, like I said, don't rush it. And lastly, also Injective. Injective is in a major range right here. I think this is going to break out as well. But like I said, be aware of where we are right now at resistance, where support is, down more than the next price target, and make that decision for yourself, right? Is the risk reward worth it? Is there a reason that we're going to break out now? Because some altcoins will definitely break out, but once that pullback comes, a lot of people will be liquidated, and don't be one of those. All right, that's what I think you need to know for now. So hopefully that helps. But for now, that's it. So thank you for watching. Take care and bye.